Police Service says it is running a special search operation which is underway to locate over 25 individuals involved in impersonation. And of course, they were impersonating prominent persons, including ministers of state, members of parliament, heads of government institutions and corporate entities on social media. Already 12 suspects are in the custody of the police after investigations identified 973 fake social media accounts created by the suspects in the names of these prominent persons and corporate entities. But this afternoon, we're asking that question. How can Ghana effectively check impersonation and other forms of cyber attacks, especially for young ones using the internet? Joining us now is Frederick Stanley Lane. He's a Fulbright specialist, and also Awadam Amenya is the Executive Director for Child Online Africa. Welcome, gentlemen and lady, to our studios. And of course, let's welcome the visitor first of all, because who has always been with us. Frederick, you are learning of this news, obviously, but it's not new, knowing that the internet, of course, is everywhere in the world, and these issues of impersonations, attacks online, and other forms do really happen around the world. For you, how do you feel that the country can effectively check some of these happenings?
Well, I think that's very well stated. There's absolutely no question that the minute you connect to the internet, you expose yourself to all of these problems, regardless of where you are. And it's difficult because the internet offers so much in the way of opportunity. To answer your specific question, I think that the best solution is education, because we need to make sure that people are aware of the risks that are out there and the steps that they can take to protect themselves. And it goes for government ministers as well as for children.
Is the number striking to you, 973?
I actually am surprised it's that low, to be honest with you. And I don't think that this will be the last time that government officials or regular Ghanaian citizens deal with this. It is an ongoing threat.
We'll talk about the solutions shortly, but for you, are people really conscious about what goes on online, even on Facebook? Because from the story, we understand that huge sums of monies have been taken from these unsuspecting members of the public.
I would say that I don't think they're taking the issue seriously, because there has been a lot of conversation around these issues. The Cybersecurity Authority has also been giving advisories and all of that. So for a number of people to be swindled by these same people, and I don't see their strategy changing. It comes with those funny stuff. So I feel that people are not paying attention, or people are taking things for granted, too much for granted, for them to be taking that way. Because if the conversation is about the fact that, okay, you are connecting and you are connecting to the wider world, therefore critical thinking is very necessary for you. You need to think before you click something. You need to think before you react to something. All of that is going on. So what will make you believe that a public official or a minister will be asking you for money in order to post you or give you an opportunity? Right. And again, earlier on, we've had this conversation before where we're talking about verification marks on most of the office ministers' accounts.
The blue tick, right?
The blue tick, yes. So that is also one of the things that people should look out for, not necessarily the fake ones or the clone ones, but the original ones are needed. And sometimes it's not very difficult to even place a call to the so-called organization in order to verify whether there's something like that going on. I saw one, you know, these things are posted mostly when a page is boosted of an information and most people are interacting with the page. Then someone comes in and throws in things like that. I saw one which was to the effect that the Ghana forces, if you need a
recruitment into the armed forces,
you should follow me, that kind of thing. I saw it and I was taken aback, so I placed a call to somebody then. I said, is there anything like that? They said, no. Okay. I said, do the needful. That's how it works. So we all need to be each other's keeper. When you see it somewhere, get someone informed.
You definitely
just
have
so
to say
action
something.
could be taken.
But for you, Frederick, what should we be laying the emphasis on, regulation or individual awareness?
I always think it comes down to individual responsibility first, because it's your money after all that you're protecting. So if you're not taking reasonable steps to protect yourself, the critical thinking, using common sense, then you're exposing yourself to this risk. That being said, I think that corporations and governments have an obligation to play a role in this. You talked about the blue tick, for instance. Right. What do we do when a corporation starts to change the value of a blue tick? Right. What about the fact that someone can go in now and buy a blue tick and now they look official? So there's an example of a corporation making it less safe for the people that it's supposedly serving. So I would encourage government regulation to address that corporations like Twitter or WhatsApp or Facebook have a financial obligation and a legal obligation to help protect their users, and particularly the older users, who I think are most at risk for this.
Are you leaving out the government agencies as well?
Well, no, that's where the regulation comes in, that they absolutely should be playing a role in this. It gets a little bit tricky in terms of how you balance the potential speech and political impact, because you don't necessarily want the government regulating that. But that's different from the financial protection piece.
So going forward, let's try and identify some of the ways by which the individuals can easily spot disinformation and some of these items online. For you, which one is key? Because you've been watching our space a lot. What do you see often?
It has more to do with there's misinformation and there's disinformation.
Right.
So until we are able to know what makes an authentic site, website, or information, it will be very difficult to tell whether this is what it is or that. But I'm also of the view that if we do a bit of common sensing, for want of a better word.
It may sound offensive, but
yes,
okay.
But then we will be doing ourselves a lot of good, in a sense that you don't see something and just jump onto it, and so you are doing your bit. But again,
but sometimes it looks so real. I mean, very believable.
So the answer there, my response is slow down. There's so much about the internet that drives us to move quickly. And the biggest safety feature you can impose upon yourself is taking the time to think. Because if you're just in a rush and you panic, or you actually think someone's taking your money when they're really not yet, if you slow down, you can usually catch it, because it just won't make sense. And it will look wrong. Usually, for instance, text messages I almost never respond to, because very few of the businesses I work with communicate in that fashion. But then with the emails, you can, if you look at the return email address, you will often see that it's something that makes no sense whatsoever. And that's an important check.
But the threat is becoming much more of a danger to the young ones, especially using our internet. And you've been very much concerned about that. Child Online Africa, it's part of the campaign you've been running, digital citizenship. I recall you calling me over the whole concept and all of that. I mean, is it the responsibility of parents to ensure that the young ones using the internet are safe, or how do we really go about it?
You know, that question is a tough one, because we wouldn't say it's the parents who should be training that much. The parents will train. However, everybody and anybody in the society has a role to play. Assuming a parent is not educated enough to play that role, would we want to still expect the parent to play the role? No. So we want the teacher to do that backstopping role. Even a Sunday school teacher or a mosque teacher should be able to mainstream safety or citizenship conversation in every program they do, because that is our life now. We can't wish it away. So we have to adapt a way of getting the message across, which is why we focus on language, we focus on age, we focus on maturation, and also if you are not at a level where you could understand higher level of English, we bring it down or take it to the local language for you to understand. And until we all become responsible netizens, it will be really, really difficult for us to avert some of these irresponsible actions coming from predators or whoever, because sexual exploitation is something else that we haven't even touched base with. Yes. Which is also very critical, because most of these young people are being groomed every now and then, and they are taking advantage of. Adults are also undergoing grooming without knowing, thinking they're having fun. So how then do we have that comprehensive or holistic discussion in order to forestall some of these happenings? It's the reason why even Dr. Lane is with us this month to help us put together a form of a framework. Because mind you, even in classrooms, during the lockdown, most of the teachers connected with the children via WhatsApp, via Zoom and all. But then after the Zoom classes, some of them went further by interacting with these children privately in their private WhatsApp chats and things. How can a teacher position himself or herself in a way that will not lead him or her into any accusation of sexual exploitation, misconduct? It's the reason why Dr. Lane is here to help us come up with
and Doc, we're excited about that, because you're part of a group of 400 experts moving from the US into all parts of the world, trying to exchange ideas on how we can create such a framework that we're talking about. So where are you starting off from, and what do you hope to achieve at the end of the day?
Well, that's a great question. I've been working on this area of cyber safety and cybersecurity now for about 20 years. And I've written a number of books on it. In terms of my visit here to Ghana, I'm starting from the perspective of someone who's really hoping to learn about the culture, learn about the structure within the country, and then in partnership with AWO, putting together resources that will help organizations and school communities develop what I refer to as a culture of cyber safety. And this is referencing AWO's approach to a holistic attack on digital safety, because we have to really make sure that everybody in the society, from the government on down to the parents, understand the importance of digital citizenship, online safety, preventing sexual grooming, and so forth. So we have seen the impact of internet culture. Now we need to develop a different culture that is more protective of children.
But are you taking the buy-in of those who are within the country itself? Because the belief is that, well, the CSOs, the experts such as you are always talking your language, you know? And there are certain terms that you use that the average person would not be aware of. So are you making this friendly so that the average person out there is able to follow and participate in that program?
I'll give you two answers to that. So number one, yes, because I go out and I talk to parent groups in the United States and in Canada about these issues. But I'm even able to explain technology to lawyers. And if you can do that, you can make it approachable to almost anyone. So yes, a good part of the work I do is figuring out a way to take the technical language and the sort of jargon, you would say, of technology and make it approachable for people. And we do get some help, I think, some very valuable assistance from children, because of course they're in that culture. And one of the goals is to really make them partners in their own safety. I'm a big believer in figuring out ways for children to help their elders better understand how this technology works, because they understand it so well.
Okay, we need to go. For you, what message do you have for parents out there, and other groups that may be willing to partner yourself and Frederick to further this cause?
Right. So I would say that we open to teaming up with other people in this endeavor, and we would also be having a fireside chat with parents. So people should look out for such a Zoom invitation and join us as much as possible. And then there are some schools we'll be visiting as well, and then other state agencies that we'll be having discussion with. So we'll see how best we can collectively have a frame for Ghana and other African countries to leverage on when it comes to digital literacy and citizenship.
Amazing. Frederick, I'll give you the last take on this.
That's very kind of you. It is, number one, first and foremost, an honor to be here. There's a tremendous amount of work to be done it is just a pleasure for me to have a chance to work with AO, who's obviously a huge leader in this area, and we'll see what we can do.
Indeed, and the future is exciting. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, and they'll be back definitely. We'll be interacting with them some more. You're watching The Pulse. We'll be right back after this break. Please stay.